Today is May the 4th, and the Star Warriors of motor racing descend upon us as we leave North America and arrive in Europe for the first time this season to one of the most fabled motor racing sites of Spa-Francorchamps tonight. No holds are barred as we approach the halfway mark of the season. Jolie, Lewis Gallen, and Kevin Huang have collectively remained dominant, but it is Ferry Stanley who holds the championship lead in good stead. 225 minutes of pure racing await us here as we bring you round 5 of the SimRacers Asia GTE Series 2019, presented by SIMMSA and the Macau-China SimRacing Association. A good afternoon, morning, evening to all of you watching here on ApexRacingTV. My name is Chan Wei Han, and alongside myself tonight, and also behind the cameras, Marco Barbanera. Good afternoon, my friend.
Hello everyone, hello Wayan. Fantastic to be here in Spa-Francorchamps, one of my favorite racing tracks in the world, and one of the few race tracks where I've actually been in to witness a race that is on iRacing. So hopefully my expertise will guide you through the best eating and drinking locations and the best place, which is not very well known, on where to camp if you come here to watch a race. Hopefully that will make up for my subpar commentary today. But yeah, all joking aside, this is going to be a fantastic day of racing. Like you said, double header, as we are waiting, yes, to start race 1 of 2, and this race will determine also the starting order for race 2. And the cars are about to line up on the basically the entrance of the Blanchimont corner we are. So I think we can go through the starting grid.
Does appear so. Now it is Jolie who is back for some racing action here tonight, because he's been dominant at the season start, and he is back for more this mid-season. Jolie starts from pole with a blistering lap time of 2-minute 11.519, and Ferry Stanley occupies the second starting position with a lap time of 2:12.094. Abhirafdi Putra and Muhammad Gandur lock out row 2, and Muhammad Balut starts from P5. James Foster, good to see him here. Perhaps a new driver. He starts from P6, and Joel Estornino starts from P7. Kevin Huang, who's just won the race last week, he starts from P8, and Jason Ho and Lachlan Crow round up the top 10 starters on the grid. Saiful Arifin, Garo Sarafian, Ferdian Pratama, Brian Renfers, and Simon Sanchez respectively start from 11th to 15th, and Pariwat Chukan, Mark Lang, Jaswin Jali, and Mike Burdett, as well as Linda Kaxi, round up your grid of 20 strong tonight.
Yes, and like we say, a very short pace lap, not a pace lap at all, I would say, because it's just a couple of corners. And then it's, straight away the guys have to enter into a racing mood as we are rolling, and you can see once again the BMW of Jolie is sitting in first place. Beautiful car as per usual. I like that like in the old days of racing, like in the 50s and 60s, every race we do, every driver basically, or more, some of the drivers have a different race number, because just like it used to be in F1 and also other categories back in the day. Jolie sporting number 17 today. And yes, we are about to go racing, it looks like.
It is Jolie who will lead the field to the start. Great start by Jolie as Ferry Stanley begins from P2, and it is quite a good start at this point. Not exactly the most popular front race start that we have, but Joe and Ferry's pull so far ahead of the grid, and Abhi Putra leads the rest of the field from P3. Positions do not seem to have changed that much at this point as the cars make their way through turn 1 and up to this approach as Jolie leads the rest of the field through Eau Rouge for the first time tonight.
Of course, massively important to not get a slowdown. Oh, and that is Joel Estornino straight into the wall at Eau Rouge, right on, and that's, I think, the end of his race as the drafting shenanigans have already started. Look at this.
What was that move? Abi Putra just closing the door ahead of James Foster, and Abi Putra currently sits in P3. And so early in the race already, we have quite a good battle that's going to shape up, and I hope this will last us through all of race.
We will see in in a couple of laps time if Jolie got a penalty or not for that start. He seemed to have a very big advantage over the rest of the field. I don't know if he was quick enough to react and time the pace car entering the pits well, or if he maybe jumped the start. It's easy to lose track of the pace car, especially here in Spa. We'll see, because if he did so, he will have to serve a penalty in the first 3 laps of the race, as Brian Renforce just went past Fergian Pratama. This is the battle for P12. And back in the front, Jamal Kandur is still trying to sort himself out between James Foster and Mohammad Balut, his teammate for SimRacing Middle East.
Good to see Jamal at this part of the field, as we've just seen James taking the corner exit a little bit too wide as they go hard on the brakes through this bus stop chicane. Wow, is this Lachlan Crow and Garo Sarafian?
Oh, some contact there, I think. You can see the damage on the front left of the BMW, who is not happy, flashing his headlights there, as he's, voicing his displeasure, so to speak, at what just happened. But Garo Sarafian keeps the position. Behind him is Jason Ho in his beautiful Ferrari with the Pioneer livery. Absolutely, have a look at that. That is fantastic.
I'm sure you're a huge fan of it, Marco. As he comes along the left of this huge long straight, I can't remember the name of this straight here at Spa.
Camel
all
Straight.
The corner names, but yes, thank you so much. Camel Straight, 3 wide, and it is Jason Ho who will make the move through that straight, and he go contact between Saifullah
again!
and Garo Sarafian. Another.
Oh no! Oh man!
A huge drama to spell the end of that move at Camel Straight, and it must have been a disappointing ordeal for these.
And unbelievably, when Garo Sarafian was running into the gravel, he came back, and unfortunately he collected once again Mike Burdett. They had a contact just a few moments earlier at the bus stop, and some cars were heavily involved in that. I think Brian Renforce got the worst of that hit, which is less than ideal, especially in a short race like this. Not much time to make up time, as you can see now for SimRacing Middle East. 2 different cars with 2 different liveries, but they are teammates. Jamal Kandur and Mohammad Balut here in P5 and P6, and maybe they are about to have some sort of battle here, or I would guess they are on the radio with each other. So seems like Balut has more pace, and just as I say that, he takes a not very good line through Blanchimont, and look at that, because Kevin Wang now is right on his tail for Eurasia SimSport, as the 2 leaders basically have an identical lap, and they are looking to run away from the rest of the field as Lachlan Crow goes into the pits.
Now, if we may just ride on Kevin Huang for just a little while as we observe this battle for P3, what looks like P3 from Kevin's perspective, as we just look to a distance in front as the drivers now make their way through Eau Rouge. This is a very high speed section where it is easy for your car to become unsettled, but all 4 drivers make it through smoothly, and Kevin seems to have gained a lot of pace from that move. Now, along the slipstream, Balut's slipstream that Kevin has taken, and now along the outside, along Camel Straight, he comes along the outside of this chicane, but it does look like Balut has managed to hold off Kevin as he makes his way through this chicane section and this high-speed right-hander. Onto this, I believe this is called Puhorn Corner. Sorry, Mark.
This one is called Brussels corner, and I have a story to tell about this sequence of corners here, but I will tell you it later. I was about to say how smooth and the driving style of Kevin is, and the sound of this Ford, which I'm a big fan of. We have in the SimRacers World GT3 Championship, we have a Ford GT3, only one racing in that series, on Wednesday nights, and I'm commentating on that. And let's say I'm a little bit biased towards that driver, because driving a Ford is great enough, but driving a Ford GT3 even better.
Of course, you've also got a lot of pedigree behind the Ford GT. Jamal Gandour versus James Foster, battle for P4, as it does look like Jamal has tried to peek along the outside, but he now seeks to return to the slipstream as he heads to Sector 3 of this circuit. Now as they make their way to what is the bus stop corner in front, hard on the brakes, Jamal along the inside, and is he going to clean that move off? Locks it up, and unfortunately loses not just his own position, and he's lost so much, and he's now all the way down to P6 with Kevin so close behind.
Yeah, Balut went by. Foster was, smart enough not only to not miss the breaking point, but sometimes when you... Oh, Kevin Wang is around. Problem for Kevin there, and I think he spun coming out of the bus stop, of the Lasso's hairpin, sorry, just as we switched camera. Let's see, maybe he locked the brakes. That was a weird spin for Kevin. Loses a couple.
It did look like his pedals might have had some issues along that point. As yep, that is Pratama in the background who's gone a little bit whining.
Just one more time from his onboard. Okay, you could hear that his car went quiet for a couple of seconds. I have no idea what happened there. It's like his engine turned off, but I'm not sure. Usually he comes in for an interview, so we have to remind ourselves to ask him a question about that, because that was very weird. The engine went silent for a couple of seconds. That might also have been, a glitch on Eracing's part, so on our end. So who knows? We will ask him soon enough, as Jolie is in the lead. 1.5 seconds back is Ferry Stanley. In P3, Abiputra in his BMW for YLab. I just learned that the Y in YLab, I think it stands for yellow, right? I think I just noticed that after almost 2 years of covering this championship. And then is James Foster with his beautiful Martini Porsche, and Mohammad Balut for SimRacing Middle East, now up to P5 after his teammate Jamal Gandour mistake, as Jamal Gandour went past Jason Hoso is back to P6 right now, with Shaiful Arifin from Malaysia fancying his chances.
Absolutely. Saiful sitting in P8 in the full name of the team, Yellow Lab Motorsport. Yes, you are correct. Now through La Sauce he went, and as we observe the two other Ferraris right in front, and we've moved to Pariwat Chukan. I think this is where some of the other action at the other side of the field.
I think Pariwat made a mistake. Oh no, he got tagged from behind by Garo Sarafian, I think, yes. And lost a couple of spots. Of course, today a great day for Thailand, because the new king has taken the throne today, has been instated today, so a massive day for Thailand, and we send our regards to all our friends from Thailand, as in the meantime Mohammad Balut and James Foster are not pulling any punch. Look at that. I have no idea how they did not crash there. I mean, that was so close. Also, in the meantime, Jamal Gandour was passed by Jason Ho once again.
Yeah, neither do I have any idea how the stewards would respond to that incident, but that is rubbing his racing, my friend.
Let them race.
Jamal. Yeah, man. Jamal sits in P7, and Jason, he's had a good drive so far, and he's made his way all the way up to P6. So it is a Ferrari 678 with Kevin in P9. As they make their way through this higher speed section, I believe this is the third sector of Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and drivers are not holding back at all.
Yeah, you can see Ferrari trying to get the draft of Jamal there as they brake hard. Ferrari mistake from Jamal, who doesn't seem to like that corner very much today, and he loses one spot. As also we have here Ferjan Pratama, you see him in his Ferrari, behind Simon Sanchez, who doesn't have the best of corners there, and so Ferjan goes up to P12 in his Ferrari. So lots and lots of Ferraris today, I have to say. Let's go back to the front of the field. Mohamed Balut sitting in P4. James Foster is in P5, and now they are trying to, you know, get away from, because these guys are battling very, very hard, as you can see in the back. Kevin Wang, Jamal Gandour, Chef Arifin, and Jason Ho. And the more you fight, of course, the more cars join your train, and you know it's easier to make a mistake and lose not one, not two, but maybe 3, 4, 5 positions. So you want to have clean track around you and pull away from all the battles.
Very much so, but of course these drivers are, or rather they are resilient against stresses like that. As you just said, that Jamal went a little bit wide through that corner. May have been a little bit of pressure from Kevin. Of course, Kevin is although he is at P9 now, he does seem to be at a more advantageous position, as Justrin is not that close behind him at 1.7 seconds. Now through the S's they come. A little bit of losing a little bit of traction when Kevin, but he still manages to wrestle the car around the corner nicely as he comes along this right-hander, preparing himself for the high-speed third sector that is going to come up.
We forgot to give you the weather, so here it is on the right side of your screen. 21 degrees the air temperature, 26 the track temperature, it's partly cloudy, and there are 10 kilometers per hour of wind right now. So pretty ideal conditions, unlike real life where it is actually snowing right now in the WEC race in Spa-Francorchamps as we speak. So, and I have to say that the microclimate of this racetrack is something that really stands out. When I went there in 2016 for the 24-hour race, we had massive swings in climate in just a few minutes, like in the final hour of the race, of the 24-hour race. 1 hour to go, it was like crazy hot. Then we had a massive shower, and it was basically freezing temperature, more or less. Remember, it was early August, and then at the end of the race it was like massively hot once again. So it can be crazy around here with the weather.
That must explain why iRacing's new weather algorithm is a little bit temperamental. I guess it is to reflect such weather changes. Saiful Arifin leads. Jamal Gandour still does so now, and he sits at P7 because we are coming to, I believe, with 5 to 7 minutes to go in this race. A little bit out wide, they went through that left-hander. As the cameras have moved to James Foster, 2 blue cars, and we ride on the gearbox camera of James Foster as Jason comes ever so close to James as they make their way through the S's. Now, of course, this is at this circuit especially, it is quite hard on the tires. So, of course, drivers are racing here. They do have to be mindful of how hard they push the car. But at the same time, considering the fact that drivers do not need to pit for tires this race, considering that it is 25 minutes long, no holds are barred, and all the drivers are pushing it full on.
Wayan, I thought about something as we see Jason having a good run. Leaving the door open is James. Then they touch, and seems like James will be able to keep the position, but look at the run that the Ferrari has on the outside. This will be, I think, resolved into the hairpin here in the first corner. Or maybe not. No, it was... I spoke too early. And back to look at the train of cars behind them. We saw some issues because some of the drivers, especially in the first few rounds of the season, made some kind of mistakes with the fuel. And we know that at Spa-Francorchamps, it's very easy to get a weird white flag, and sometimes you have to do one lap more than expected, and one lap is almost more than 2 minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers will face this. If some drivers have put a little bit more fuel to be safe, or if some drivers are trying to get the car as light as possible and are very tight on fuel. We will know in around 8 minutes time when the clock strikes 0, and we will see how many laps they will have to do. As once again, look at it, this battle is absolutely amazing, and seems like the Ferrari is a bit quicker than the Porsche right now, but look at the train of cars behind them.
This is going to be so exciting. Saiful Arifin on the inside of Jason Ho. As we just thought, Jason might have made the move on James. Saiful comes upon them. And as we're just saying that, Jamal comes upon Saiful, and we've also got 2 more cars, Jasreen and Kevin, who round up this massive 6-way battle pack.
Just for a second from the blimp, look at that. And you can see on the left side that's the karting track there on the left side, and that is the best place where you can grab a drink in all the racetrack, with the best prices and the best beer selection. Oh, who's this? Jamal Gandour. Hard but fair, passes Kevin Wang, Arifin also, and look at Jaiserin Jali out of nowhere also fighting it out with Kevin. This is the back end of the top 10, as Mike Burdett also making a comeback after having some issues earlier in the race, and now is more than in the fight for P10 and positions just ahead of P10.
Absolutely masterful driving by these 6 drivers, and also the drivers all around here tonight. Bumper camera of James Foster again, as you observe whether or not Jason will make the move down Camel Straight. Along the outside comes Jason as they now approach the right, left, and right chicane. A contact, a little bit, and around goes James Foster. And it is going to be Jason Ho who emerges from there, and all the other 4 drivers behind them who capitalized off the incident. And James, unfortunately, drops down to P11.
Yes, not ideal what just happened to James. We will get a replay very soon. In fact, right now.
So here they are, approaching the chicane right after the Camel Straight. It does look like the door had been closed by one of the drivers, which led to the contact, and thereafter led to James losing control of the car.
Let's watch it again from high above and see that there was some, it was some slight contact. Unfortunately, sometimes when your car is already turning, it takes just a little bit of contact to actually upset the car balance, and you go around. So bad luck for James, and he's all the way down to P11. Now Jason Ho has Jamal Gandour to contend with.
Jamal all over the rear end of Jason, because a lot. Huge incident. Contact by Saiful, and rather Saiful coming into contact with Jamal. And now this means that Kevin is encroaching upon Saiful as they come through the grid straight. And what is that? Along the inside went Kevin, and that means that Kevin has made the move ahead of Seifel. It does look like Seifel is now beginning to lose positions hand over fist.
It
As
looks
he
like
now
so,
sit.
yeah. He's down to, he's in P9. And let's see if now we can use the draft to close the gap on Eracing Jolly here.
Top speed run, Seifel sitting in the slipstream of his teammate Jazrin right in front as they approach this chicane again. Of course, key here is to maintain the smoothest racing line as well as your top speed, or rather your speed. You do not want to lose momentum as you come to this this part of the circuit. So we head back a little bit to look at Lachlan Crow versus Garo Sarafian. Yes, that was Garo, where Lachlan made the move on, and Lachlan currently sits in P14, but Garo isn't keen on letting that slip as he tries to fight back his position. Nearly come into contact as they make their way through that corner. It is going to be Lachlan who seems to be able to hold on to his newly gained P14, and cameras are back to Justine as he leads Seifel and Mike Burdett in P9 and P10 respectively.
So, back to the back end of the racetrack as we have 22 minutes on the clock, so I think that is the moment right now when Jolie crossed the start-finish line, so I think we might have this lap that's starting right now and one more, and so it will be, I think, a little bit close for the fuel consumption. Let's keep an eye on that as Kevin Wang and Jamal Gandour, two of the veterans of the series, they go head-to-head into the hairpin at La Source, as behind them Arifin and Jali also are arguing for position, the two teammates. Let's go with the gearbox camera so we can see the way the Ford tackles Eau Rouge. Man, this is very, very close.
Absolutely close, and it did look like Kevin perhaps cut the corner a little bit there, but all the way up here, there's going to be a contact! They went, and it is a surprise that they still maintain that position. Jamal gone onto the inside of Camel Street, and so did Jasrin for a little bit, and it just teleported a little bit away over there. Kevin Huang still sits in P7, but he is ardent on fighting for P6.
I was very surprised that Kevin didn't get a slowdown for that, because he cut quite a bit of the... It's very easy to, you know, if you take your line a little bit too tight entering Eau Rouge, it's very easy to cut the corner when you come out on the left side, as this nice train of cars is almost basically with no separation between them. It's so close, and maybe Jamal Gandour can use a bit of this battle behind him to pull away, but it's very, very tough to pull away from a train of cars in Spa with any cars, even with cars that don't have that much drag, not very sensible to slipstream like this one here, as, just for a second, Jolie crosses the start finish line, white flag is in the air.
As you just said, that it does look like the fastest lap belongs... In fact, the fastest lap belongs to Ferry Stanley instead of Jolie, so this is a little bit of a change from what we've been used to. Now, Jamal Gandour coming under a little bit of pressure again from Kevin, as Kevin attempted to go along the outside of the second part of that chicane, but Kevin now loses, or rather he didn't make that position, and it is Jasreen along the outside tending for this position. Now, who is going to emerge as the driver who's going to be ahead as they now come along this straight in preparation for Uru? You can just listen to the engine sound barely not lifting as the cars make their way up the top of the mountain. And Justine currently sitting in P8. The gap is slowly reducing, and the gap now sits at just 1/10 of a second. Braking zone they come. as we observe how they attempt not to scrub off as much speed as possible, or rather to retain as much speed as possible as they made their way through that section. And we come back to the TV camera with Mike Burdett leading Saiful Arifin, P9 and P10 respectively, across this section. Now, I think this race has been one of the more drama-filled races so far this season, Marco. But of course, it is still Joe Lee in the race lead.
Massive entertainment today, and we have one more of this to come, as we will switch to Jolie in just a second to celebrate his race victory, and let's go to him right now.
It is Jolie who's going to complete the final sector of this circuit of race 1, coming to the bus stop chicane for the last time in race 1, and it is Jolie who is going to come across the start-finish line first, and with a huge gap, or rather not a huge gap, but a sizable gap ahead of Ferris Stanley. Jolie wins race 1 at Spa, and Ferris comes home in P2. Abi Putra managed to hold on to P3 throughout race 1, and he comes home in 3rd. And it is going to be Kevin Huang and Jamal Gandu fighting it hard all the way to the end of this race. Now, of course, Muhammad Balut and Jason Ho have come home in P4 and 5th respectively. Jamal comes home in P6 and Kevin in P7, Jasper in P8, and is this going to be a tight fight between Saiful and Mike Burdett? I think that was quite a tight one. Ferdian Pratama comes along the bus stop chicane. He does so and comes home in P12. Simon Sanchez comes home in... I'm sorry, Marco.
No, yeah, I was about to say, yeah. All the other drivers are coming. Garo Sarafian is in 15th. We have Mark Lang and Brian Renfors, the two guys that have to... we are still waiting for, and then don't go away, because race 2 will start immediately after.
Yes, indeed. And what a race 1 has been here at Spa. Of course, Spa never fails to amaze any of us. As Brian Ramford does his last drive of race 1, or rather one of the last drivers out on track right now. A little bit wide along that corner exit, but he does so still holds on to his car fine as he comes across the bus stop chicane for the final time of race 1. Now, Brian Ramford comes home in P17, and in a moment's time, we will have the finishing results and the starting grid for race 2.
Yes, they should be on your screen right now. So these are the finishing results of race 1, just like Wei Yan just said, and also, in a very handy way, race starting order for race 2.
There's going to be Joe Lee, who's just won race 1, and he will begin from pole in race 2 here at Spa. Ferris Stanley, as usual, begins from P2, and Abhirafti Putra, of course, a great stellar drive by him holding off the rest of the field. He begins from P3. Muhammad Balut, fantastic driving by himself, and so did Jason Ho. They begin from P4 and 5 respectively. Jamal Gandur, Kevin Huang begin from positions 6 and 7, and Jaswin Jali begins from P8. Mike Burdett and Saiful Arifin round up your top 10 of the starting grid. Now, moving a little bit further back, it will be James Foster and Ferdian Pratama who will begin from P11 and 12. Simon Sanchez from 13th, Lachlan Crow 14th, and Garo Sarafian, Mark Lang, Brian Ramford, Parwat Shukan, and Joel Esonino, rounding up your field of 19 strong of race 2. Marco, I'm going to let you call the start tonight.
Thank you very much. As we are getting ready for the start of race 2, little bit more of cloud cover over the racetrack. Track temperature down to 22 degrees. So in the end, in race 1, Jolie had a perfectly legal start. Let's see if we can replicate that, and if maybe someone will be more aggressive coming into the Eau Rouge. Of course, into the La Source hairpin. As the green flag is in the air, another fantastic start from our race leader. As the cars are fanning out, getting ready for La Source. Ferry Stanley is in second, and Putra, and then Balut, which gives a little bit of a bump there, as we have nothing major happening in the back, luckily. So Jolie will have a sizable lead, and of course behind him they will absolutely fight it out for the slipstream.
Now we ride on the bumper camera of Ferry Stanley, who sits at what a gap of 2.5 tenths of a second, and Muhammad Balut just recently gave the left tap to Abhirav Putra. He's very close behind as well, so this could well be a battle for P2 as opposed to a battle for P3. As we just said, a contact between Garo Sarfian and Simon Sanchez. Unfortunate incident to start race 2. And is it going to be... Wow, that looked like a bit of teleportation there. Goes Simon Sanchez and also the other Macau Sim Racing car of what looks like Joe Estonino. So both Macau Sim Racing team cars out of race 2, out of the contention, unfortunately, so early on in race 2.
Wow, to avoid his teammate, he crashed as well, so massive bad luck for Macau Sim Racing there, as their two drivers basically involuntarily, of course, have cost themselves the race. So, Jolie already looking to pull away from Ferry Stanley, Alpha second between the pair of them, and behind them, of course, you see once again the names that have fought hard for... Basically, this is like a continuation of race 1, Weian, because the battles are, I think, going to be more or less the same, especially this massive fight we had for P5 and backwards, and they are going to be absolutely crazy once again, with a little bit more grip thanks to the slightly lower, track temperature. But yeah, I'm expecting more of the same in this second race, even though Abhi Putra is looking like he could really put on a challenge for second place.
I would love to see that, as we ride on board the Porsche 911 RSR of Abhirav Putra. Identical car his teammate is driving in front in P2, as this is going to be a jostle, a huge launch that Abhirav Putra made for himself up the mountain of Il Rouge, the hill rather. And as he sat on the slipstream of Ferry Stanley, his teammate, the defensive line he took along the inside there, I hope he does not move back to the outside, as that would not be a legal move here on iRacing. Ferry Stanley still holds on to P2 after the Camel Straight, as he now comes along this right chicane complex, where it is key to maintain your momentum. As he comes along this Brussels corner, I believe, Marco, this
Yes.
right-hander, where it's a little bit off camber, and it's important to maintain your grip through that corner. Good to see Abhi Putra and Ferry Stanley fighting so hard up here for P2. And likewise the cars behind, which does seem to be led by Muhammad Balut and Jason Ho, with a couple of other cars in the fray.
You mentioned the Brussels corner there, and you might see, maybe when we come back to that corner in the next lap, that there is like a big slope going from the top of the hill down to the racing surface. And if you watch the 2016 Spa 24 Hours on YouTube on replay, you might have noticed that on Sunday morning it was raining. And you might also notice that it's very grassy and, dirt surface on those slopes. And when it rains, it tends to be very slippery, and that's exactly what happened to me. I woke up from my tent as Jamal Gandour looks for a move on Jason Ho, and I went, immediately after I woke up, went to see the racing action, and I was so excited that I slipped on the mud and fell down the slope in front of everyone also watching. And I stood up like nothing happened, but it was very embarrassing, I have to say. And
must have been quite an experience.
Yeah, as a permanent marker of that moment of brilliance, I had to spend the entirety of not only the rest of the race, but also the rest of the trip home, which we made by car from Belgium to Italy, with my trousers all brown, basically. Oh man.
Justrin along the inside, thank you, Marco. Justrin along the inside of Jamal Gandur, and it is Justrin who's made the move for P6. And is it going to be Kevin Huang who's going to cause Jamal to lose his positions hand over fist as they come along this section of the circuit? Kevin is not far behind at all. Or as we just said, he did come a little bit further back. Kevin and Mike Burdett behind that. Jamal settles for P7, and wow, 4-5-way potential battle pack led by Kevin Huang at the middle of the field here. Well, just look at how close the cars are bunched up together, and it does look like the average timing gap is 1 to 2 tenths of a second.
As we say hello to everyone, of course, following us now live, and also those who will enjoy this race on demand later today. And of course, everyone in the chat, we say hello to everyone that is following, and hopefully you are enjoying this fantastic show that these guys are putting on for us today. The action doesn't stop here. We have, of course, later today, from Charlotte Motor Speedway, the final endurance round of the Euro V8 season, live from once again Charlotte Motor Speedway in a night today race that is going to take place at 18 GMT as another lap goes in the books. Jolie, for the first time today, under the 2 minute 12 barrier, 2 minute 11 seconds and 9. So fantastic lap there as Burdett and Wang with a nice fight as they go down the hill.
Side by side go Kevin Huang and Mike Burdett of Stealth Simforce Penrite as they make their way through the Rouge. You do not want to do this too wide, and it does look like Mike Burdett had to cede that position to Kevin Huang for fear of safety. As we just said, that did look like a huge pile up there, and it is Mike Burdett into the wall with James Foster. Oh dear, that car looks super damaged.
Whoa! I don't know what happened there. Seems like a very ambitious move from James, I have to be honest. Going on the outside of the racing surface. And I don't think, I have to be honest, that Mike was expecting that, you know? And I don't blame him, because you don't expect a pass on the outside there, outside of the racing surface. And that resulted in a massive crash that could have involved a lot more cars, more than just two. So yeah, a very big crash, could have been even bigger, and certainly will give room for some debate after the race, especially between these two drivers, Wei-Yan.
That was not the end to the race that perhaps Mike Burdett and James Foster were looking forward to. Of course, cameras are now back to Jasrin Jali as he attempts to go for P5, currently held by Jason Ho in that blue Ferrari Pioneer paint scheme there. Marco, what do you think of this? You know, Ferrari and Porsche do have quite a rich history here at Spa-Francorchamps. I think these two manufacturers go quite far back racing at this place. Yourself being a fan of Ferrari, I believe, and also having come to this circuit like we've just shared with us before, which spot do you think, I guess relative to the other places along this circuit, which spot do you think is the place, other than Eau Rouge, of course, is the spot that would offer good passing opportunities and also racing action?
Well, of course, here at the chicane, which at the Lecombe chicane, as look at the way they are dancing left and right, trying to get some slipstream there, but it doesn't work. And actually, this is where we wanted to camp, but it is not possible, sadly. They said no, so we moved, and we moved not here where I fell, but at No Name Corner, which is the next one, the left-hander here. And here on the left side of your screen, you sit atop a hill, and you can see all the way to the pits, to the pit section. It is beautiful, especially at night, when that is the only section of the track that is lit up. So, but of course that is not a big passing spot. So another good passing spot could be here, but you need to get a massive run through Puon, which is also very very tough. So I think apart from this, the best passing opportunity will be at the final chicane at what was once known as the bus stop. I don't know if that's still the name, but I remember when I was younger, that was the name of that corner. It was very different in shape.
Absolutely. I still remember my days racing in GTR2 where the old 2004 bus stop layout was present. Jasreen along the inside attempted to take along the inside of Jason Ho, but it is still Jason who's managed to hold on to P5, and I hope it does seem that he may do so through that chicane. Now Jamal Gandu leads Kevin Huang. Of course, Jamal sitting P7 and Kevin sitting in P8, and this three-way battle rounded out by Saiful Arifin in P9. Now they made their way as they come approaching La Source. It will be Kevin Huang along the inside, but I think Jamal still had the position advantage, timing advantage in order to hold on to P7. Now, as they make their way to El Rouge, it's going to be this high-speed section. Cameras have gone to Ferris Stanley as it does look like Ferris has managed to close the gap, or rather, compared to race 1, the gap between Ferris and Jolie sits at 2.5 seconds. Now, Abi Putra and Ferris still sit very closely together, both teammates from the same team, same country. And let's hope these two drivers stick it close and provide us a good show for race 2.
Yes, they actually had a very, very close moment. I think they swapped positions. Let's see. Very quickly without... so let's see what happened here. Because... that's what happened. That was a moment of Ferris disappeared for a second. It was registered as an overtake, but that wasn't the case. So Ferris Stanley is still ahead of his teammate Abi Putra. So let's go back to this fight here with Jaisrin Jali and Jason Ho. This is the fight for P5.
These two drivers won't relent, will they? Now, Jason has the pace tonight. Of course, he started drive by him all night long, and so does Just Reed. Of course, I think this battle has been going on since race 1 earlier on. And at this point, I believe it is the halfway point of race 2. Now, the advantage of two races being that the drivers do have a little bit of a break in the middle. As we just saying that, it's Just Reed going to gun for a move down the chicane. Tried to look along the outside, but I don't think he was close enough to make the move along the outside. And Jason still sits on P5, as we're just saying that. Is it going to be Kevin along the inside to make the move on Gandur? Not exactly quite right there. But now they come to La Source once again. Is Kevin going to dive into the inside? No, he does not. And a little bit of a lockup by Jamal Gandur, and out wide goes Ferdinand Pratama. I think perhaps maybe misjudged the apex there. As Ferdinand makes his way through Rouge, and cameras have gone back to what looks like Kevin Huang made the move, trying to make the move along the outside, now approaching the Camel Straight. Saiful Arifin on the slipstream with Jamal Gandur. Kevin Huang with the advantage a little bit outside there. Saiful made the move to the outside, but it is now side by side through this left right chicane. Kevin makes the move, but is he going to make it work, make it stick through this right left chicane complex?
Weian, I have to ask you to reboot your voice software for just a second, because you transformed into a cyborg for a couple of seconds there.
I do apologize. There's some
we have
gremlins
broadcasting from the future. This is basically a preview. We will all be replaced by cyborgs in 5 years' time, I think, doing sim racing broadcasting. So it's just a preview of the future, I think. As Jaisrin Jali and Jason Ho are still fighting it out, and this is a very, very close battle indeed, as both the Ferrari, the beauty of this kind of racing, I think, Weian, is that all of these cars have different strengths. and in a track like this, with so many different corners, of course, there are some places where the Ferrari is faster, some places where the Porsche is faster, but also the drivers. There are some parts of the track where one driver is, likes it better, and another part of the track where the other driver maybe is a bit quicker. And Spa is beautiful because it gives you such a wide variety of corners and of situations. I think that is also why it gives us some fantastic racing every time, as behind these guys this three-way fight continues between
Oh, that
Kevin.
was Saiful Arifin making contact with Jamal Gandour, and around goes the SimRacing Middle East number 961 around at La Source, and Jamal has to drop to P11 where Lachlan Crow capitalized on the incident and moved up to P10. Replay here from the blimp camera. Let's just look at how these two drivers came into. Yeah, I think it would have been a little bit difficult to avoid there by both drivers.
Yeah, that was a very little amount of contact, but sadly, once again, when your car is turning, and especially when you hit on the right rear and left rear part of the car there, it's as we have some nice views of the trees, it just takes a small bit of contact, and around you go. So bad luck for Jamal, who lost his position also to Lachlan Crow, so he's down to P11, lost 5 positions compared to where he started. Two guys that the top 5 are all in their position that they started, and saying it like this seems like this is a boring race, but it is absolutely not. And especially for Jason and Jaisrin Jali here, they have been so close for the entirety of this second race. I think Jaisrin is trying desperately to get a good run out of this section here for the past couple of laps at least, so he may go for a big move going into the bus stop, but it's not easy, especially with Jason defending so well on the inside.
A stellar drive by Jason Ho and Jasrin Jali all night long, because these drivers are providing us such a good show at this part of the field. And then again, at every part of the field, there are things to enjoy. As you ride on board, Jasrin, and I do believe we are going to stay with this battle for a little bit longer. Long La Source they took, and of course that is, although it's a sharp corner, it should be taken at gear 2 as the drivers have done so, as they set themselves up for El Rouge. Just observe the kind of line that the drivers take in order to reduce the least amount of speed as the Camel Straight comes after the El Rouge. Now defensive driving does Jason Ho over there, as he's just gone to the inside and back to the outside. Now hard on the brakes, they come onto this chicane. A little bit of a late braking there by Jasrin. I think he didn't preempt that sudden move by Jason, but now they make their way to the second sector of this circuit. Now, if we may, Marco, can we just have a look back at Jamal Gandour again, because he has dropped to position 11 and he might be on his way up to P10 as Lachlan Crow currently holds that position, riding on board the Ferrari of Jamal. Now, just enjoy this for a little moment, if you may, Marco. The engine sound of the 488 here at the mountains of Spa-Francorchamps. Jamal Gandour currently sitting in P11, of course, owing to the incident that happened just a couple of laps earlier. And Lachlan Crow in P10 sits at just about a second ahead, as we've just come back again to look at the battle for P5 that Jasrin is currently keen on attempting. Now Jason moved to the inside, defensive driving there as they make their way through to the bus stop chicane along the inside. Is this going to be in the inside that Jasrin makes his move. Apparently not unfortunate that as he was not close enough as they come across the finish line and begin lap number 9. Marco, if you're still with me at this point, Jamal Gandour currently sitting in P11 again. Of course, the gap has been closed so much, and we should see a battle unfold at right smack in the middle of the grid here. Lachlan Crowe with Jamal Gandour in tow. It's just going to be a side-by-side into the Rouge. Of course, drivers being a little bit more cautious, they do not attempt to do that, but they now have the camel straight over there. And we've come back to observe what looks like Jasri, who may have attempted to take that position but didn't succeed in doing so. Jamal Gandour along the outside of Camel Straight, Lachlan defending the inside line. So it is still going to be Lachlan and around, or rather, a little bit loss of grip that Jamal suffered over there. And Lachlan still holds on to P10, Marco.
Yeah, we have these two battles that are fantastic, and they are just like a couple of corners in front of each other. So the passing spots are, coming for both of these guys very, very quickly. For both of this set of guys, I should say, Jason Ho and Jaisrin Jali for P5, and Lachlan Crowe and Jamal Gandour for P10. Right now, it seems like the guys behind, so Jali and Gandour, have a bit more pace, and it is surprising how tough it has been for some drivers, especially to make some overtakes today. I was not expecting this.
Is Jasrin going to make his move at the third sector at this point? Because from this camera view, it does look like Jasrin is very, very close to Jason, just sticking his nose along the outside before these drivers entered the bus stop chicane. And now we come and observe Jamal Gandour and Lachlan Crowe again. So this is a kind of a two-fronted battle as they nearly come into contact there upon breaking into the bus stop chicane. Jamal very, very close to Lachlan Crowe. Daniel leaked in the comment section. I hope you're enjoying this. Your teammate is pushing very hard here at Spa tonight. Now what looked like a lockup by, I believe, a Thirdian Pratama in front. But currently Jamal holds on to P11. Of course, still behind Lachlan Crowe in P10. Slight brush off the wall there. Of course, that is rubbing his racing. You do want to maximize the width of the circuit. Yes, they come make their way up to Camel Straight. Jamal has the speed advantage as he comes along the slipstream of Lachlan Crowe. Is it going to be inside or outside? A view blocked by trees apparently over there, but yes, Lachlan still held on there to P10, and Jamal still sits in P11 unfortunately, and we are don't think much time left to the end of this race. Jamal along the inside. Is this going to be Jamal along the inside to Brussels corner, and then up to the corner with No Name? Try it there now along the inside again. Now this is going to be very, very exciting as the drivers are just switching sides here and there through the different corners.
I think that Jamal is desperate to get moved on. Of course, it's drivers in this series, especially these guys that are veterans of the series, very respectful. So that's why we are not seeing crazy dive bombs from these guys. Even though I think there was the opportunity to do so for Jamal and for Jaisrin earlier. As Jason Jali actually went past Jason also. Sorry for missing that. I shall give you a replay as soon as I can. So let's see first how this will be solved, and then I will give you the replay after the bus stop. And here we go with the replay. With Jaisrin Jali. Oh, just used a bad exit there from Jason, who almost went around, had a little bit of trouble, and up goes Jaisrin into 5, but Jason keeps fighting.
Brilliant driving by Jasrid, and Jason is... I think he wants some revenge at this point. Now, Jason has been relegated to P6, I think one position down from where he began earlier on in the race. We've gone back to Jamal again. Yeah, Marco, I do appreciate how you do share the happiness between Lachlan Jamal and Jason and Jasrid.
Also, I forgot to tell you that this is the final lap of the race, so chances are getting smaller and smaller for Jason and Jamal if they want to make the move. Jolie is comfortably in the lead and is about to cross the start-finish line to seal another brilliant race win. But we still have these issues to resolve, these battles to solve around the racetrack.
Of course, cameras have come back to Jolie. Of course, being the race leader, you can't always have the cameras on you because you're so damn fast, Joe. After completing a hat-trick finish in race 1, Jolie comes along the bus stop chicane for the second time tonight, and he wins race 2 here at Spa-Francorchamps. And instead of a hat-trick, it is going to be a Grand Slam, correct? Yes, of course, Jolie made the fastest lap, and he finishes with a Grand Slam. Ferry Stanley second, Abhirafti Putra in third, Mohammed Balut in fourth. Jasrid, last-minute move there ahead of Jason Ho. Jasrid finishes in fifth, and Jason in sixth. Moving down to P10 and 11. I think these two drivers have been fighting out so hard all race long, but it is still going to be Lachlan Crow who is going to round up the top 10 with Jamal out of the top 10 there. Brian Ranfors, currently sitting in P12, comes past the bus stop chicane for the final time tonight. Now let's just have a look at Mark Lang. Of course, his this BMW that he does seem to be enjoying. 3M sponsored car. True story. Mark does enjoy using 3M products, I believe. Comes in P13 with a number 44 car. So yeah, both numbers like that. Pariwat Chukan comes home in P14 with Mike Burdett, Penrite car in the background, coming home in P. I can't see the position
15.
there. P15, yes, thank you.
And that was it for this round. But before we move on to the interviews, let's give you, of course, because it is our duty and it would be pointless to do otherwise, the official race results for race 2.
Should the results be out already? Jolie wins race 2. Of course, he rounds up the 5th race event here at Spa with a hat-trick finish in race 1 and a Grand Slam finish in race 2. Jolie wins with Ferry Stanley, similar to race 1, finishes in second. Abhirafti Putra in P3, and the difference being that Abhi is only 3 seconds behind Ferry Stanley as opposed to a much larger gap earlier on in race 1. Mohammed Balut, fantastic performance by the SimRacing Middle East driver based in Lebanon. He finishes in P4. Jasrin Jali rounds up the top 5. Of course, he made the last-minute move on Jason Ho, both drivers having had an intense battle all night long. Jason finishes in P6. Kevin Huang and Saiful Arifin takes P7 and P8 respectively. Ferdian Pratama comes in P9, and Lachlan Crow edged out Mohammed Gandu and held him off all race long. And the SSF Penrite driver, I'm trying to remember the team name here, rounds up the top 10. Mohammed Gandu leads the rest of the field in P11 and Brian Ranfors in P12. Number 44, Mark Lang, finishes in position 13. So I'll leave you to how you interpret those numbers. Pariwat Shukan comes home in P14, and Mike Burdett comes home in P15. Garo Sarafian, James Foster take positions 16th and 17th. Simon Sanchez and Joel Estornino round up your field with an unfortunate, of course, both drivers having met an unfortunate end to the race very early on in race 2.
Okay, let's see if we have some interviews. I think we do, of course, and let's. I'm
This is
ah,
it is Jamal.
of course it's Jamal Gandour.
Salute,
Hello.
my friend. Hello. Yep. First of all, I hope the force has been with you to today, Lord Gondor,
Yeah,
Lord of
yeah.
Gondor. I
The
mean,
stick was here tonight.
yep. Jamal. First of all, I hope you're having a good afternoon over there in Lebanon, from where you are. Of course, I do understand that you had a quite an intense night with Lachlan Crow, who finished just ahead of you in P10, and yourself having to settle for P11. So, now please share with us the race from your perspective.
Well, race one was quite like how to say. I was surprised from me qualifying a little bit on top of the grid, maybe because of Spa being a little bit difficult with track limits. So I don't think anyone had the appropriate pace, or it's just that the Ferrari is working good here. Um, the previous rounds was not like doing well, but here it's a different animal altogether. So I qualified in P4. Kept my head down, and I tried as much as I can to have clean fights. But it's a little bit how to say tense, and specifically speaking because I looked at the point standing and I'm second in the silver in the bronze driver, so pretty much I'm thinking of collecting points for the championship basically. But the race was very good. On the second race, I had Crow. We had a tremendous fight in the last like 5 laps closing in. Um, Very much respect for positioning the cars, and everything is so enjoyable. Having someone who understands where to put the car is always enjoyable. And I would like to congratulate him for finishing P10 ahead of me. But yeah, you win some, you gain some, or you lose some.
Yeah, that's good to hear, Jamal. Yeah, of course. I think we do understand that the Ferrari does favor circuits that require more cornering, grip, and stuff like that. And knowing Spa, it is a circuit that is demanding on the tires. Now, may I just hand you over to Marco if he has
Yeah.
some questions to ask?
Yeah, hello Jamal. Once again,
Hello.
congratulations for your racing today. Just taking a look at the schedule, we are going to Nürburgring for next week on the GP track. Are you feeling confident about that?
Well, yeah. So two traditional tracks back to back, historical, very much like a filled with background. The Nurburgring is obviously a nice track to drive on. I'm already visualizing the corners already, but it will be tricky on the downslope into T1. So we will see where we are next week. But basically, yeah, I'm looking forward for it.
Well, thank you very much, Jamal. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I would like to thank all of the SRA community for putting this together, and of course, I would like to thank my colleague and a close brother and friend Peter Claveter, and SIMSA, of course, for sponsoring the events, and keep pushing and keep this beautiful as it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jamal. Catch you next week then.
See you then.
And now, Weihan, I think we can get in the interview booth Ferjan Pratama, if I'm not mistaken.
Hello again, Ferdian. Hope you're having a good evening yourself over at Indonesia tonight.
Yeah, hello,
Now,
good evening.
yeah, I do understand that you had quite an eventful race tonight. Perhaps one that may have been filled with some incidents here and there. So, for that, could you please share with us how the race went from your perspective here at Sparta?
Okay, from the first race, I feels like uh I'm battling with Saiful Arifin, if you will say that. Then I got uh a lot of understeering from myself, so I could chase them again. So at the middle of the race of the race one, so I accidentally cut on the U rogue, so the game just like penaltying me for 1.8 seconds. I presume is that right? So for the race two, everything seems normal, but there is something after the U rogue. There is a contact in the front of me that I suddenly have to make a move, even I have to take the grass. So that's it. So after that, in after the almost end of the race, someone behind me is really really fast. So I have to keep up again with Saiful Arifin, but he is just way too fast. Yeah, that's it.
Understand. Yeah, it did seem like you had fun along the way. Yeah, because a circuit like Spa is not known to be kinder to drivers because for one, it's hard on tires. It's also easy to go off track, and when someone screws up in front, you tend likely to be part of the fray. It is quite difficult to avoid incidents at a track like that. Now, may I just hand you over to Marco if he'd have any questions that he'd like to ask?
Yes, hello Ferjan, welcome to the interview room. How was it today, especially considering that I was expecting Spa to be a little bit more, easier to overtake, but I saw many guys actually struggling to pull off moves. It seemed like the slipstream wasn't as big as perhaps it was in the past with even with GTE cars, but also with other cars. Seems like you could get a good run with the slipstream, but then cars and drivers were missing that extra bit of pace in order to make the move, especially in the final chicane and in the chicane after the Eau Rouge corner.
Oh yeah, I agree with you, Marco, about the losing. No, I mean the drafting is not much increasing the speed. I feel it to myself, and about the last corner. I mean the last chicane. It's like there is a exit point there where is you can go fast and all out, or you can go and save. So I choose safe because I don't want to screw my car. Then yeah, and on this yeah, I still my hand is still shaking about that in the Spa on the second race because it was too scary.
Ferjan, thank you very much for joining us. Before we let you go, anyone you would like to thank?
I want to thank you to Saiful Arifin for having a great race tonight. So you have a good pace. You have a really fast driver. So I see you on next race.
Thank you very much, man, and catch you next week.
Catch you next week too. Good night.
And yes, Wei-An, so like I was saying earlier, next week we will be in Nürburgring GP track, like Jamal said earlier, another classic racetrack, but much different than this one.
Very much so, because unlike a Spa circuit, Nürburgring is, I guess, a little bit on the narrower side of things, meaning that it is going to be quite difficult and potentially more dangerous to make overtaking moves. Of course, you have the Mercedes-Benz Arena, which comes right after the first corner hairpin. That is going to be quite a good area for overtaking, but anything outside of that will be relatively risky.
Yeah, that's going to be a track where overtaking is going to be tough, I think. But with if you get a good run, that first corner really is a premier passing opportunity and also a premier trouble spot. So we will see what happens next Saturday. It has been a great pleasure to share the broadcast booth with you as always. And once again, remember that we will be back at 18 GMT for the Euro V8 Supercar Championship endurance event live from Charlotte. And now, Wei Han, I give you the honor of, as per usual, closing the broadcast.
Thank you, Marco. So this SimRacers Asia GT Series Round 5 is presented by SIMSA and the Macau-China SimRacing Association, both entities of sim racing that are bent on pushing the forefront of sim racing in their respective regions. It has been such a pleasure to bring this race to all of you guys here watching and also racing here tonight. On behalf of Marco Barbanera, my name is Chan Wei Han, and from once again the opposite ends of the Eurasian continent, we bid you a good day ahead, be it in the morning, afternoon, or at night. Have a good day ahead, and we shall see you on our next broadcast.